Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dan Braun, and if you came here for Comic on Comics, sorry, you're kind of in the wrong place right now, because this is the first edition of Comic on Wrestling. Yes, as you guys know from my previous shows, I'm a big fan of pro wrestling, always have been, always will be. So this is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be telling you about Great Balls of Fire. I'm going to be telling you about Monday Night Raw. I'm going to be telling you about Smackdown Live as well. Pretty much I'm just going to be giving you a little bit of a recap, some thought on it as well. Take the 8 hours of wrestling, condense it down to about 10 minutes for you. Before I even get started there, also want to let you know a little bit about what's going on in the world of wrestling that we may have forgotten about, or you may not have known. So what happened, Paige and Alberto El Patron, some of you guys know him as Alberto Del Rio. When he was in WWE, I knew him as the guy I would turn the channel off and watch Monday Night Football. They got into an altercation in an airport. The audio came out. It sounded kind of bad. Definitely a horrible argument between them. Alberto gets suspended indefinitely, can never say that word, from Global Force Wrestling. However, the rating experts are expecting that nothing really is going to happen. No one's going to notice, because unfortunately, Global Force and TNA has not had the best track record going into that. So that just sucks. Also, in other wrestling news, Kenny Omega accidentally bumps into a stranger on a sidewalk in Tokyo. Dave Meltzer rates at 5 stars. Rypack says things on a podcast that nobody believes. And then that is what is kind of just going on with the basic world of wrestling. Starting off with Great Balls of Fire, you got the the pre-show match with Neville and Tozawa. Neville gets the win there, no big surprise. Hardly anything ever really big happens during the pre-show. Every once in a while you get to see a really good match, like Austin Aries versus Neville at WrestleMania. A few years ago, you got the WLC. Go on the network, check that out. It's pretty decent. So here's a couple things that came out during the pay-per-view. Bray Wyatt gets a win over Seth Rollins. Pretty big. It's a good win for Bray Wyatt at a pay-per-view, and it's really good after what came out on the internet when somebody, that one website put out the win-loss record and showed that Bray Wyatt has something like 112 wins and like 400 losses, which is just unbelievable when you think about what a good talent he is. Big Cass versus Enzo. Some of you guys definitely saw where they messed up. Definitely Big Cass's first time really being alone going into a match. Without Enzo, being by the side or whatever. He holds his arm up in the air, and of course, a bad camera angle. He covers up the C, and you see that it just says "big ass." Definitely a fun little find on the internet there. Cass gets the win. Again, no big surprise there. Cass 7 foot tall. Enzo looks like he maybe weighs about 200 pounds. So definitely good to move the story along there. Sheamus and Cesaro beat the Hardys in an Iron Man match, a 30-minute Iron Man match, in which Matt Hardy's face got broken. Yes, the blood came flowing out. They did the promo the next night about it and everything and whatnot. Also, no new news here when it comes to the broken and gimmick for Matt Hardy. It looks like Global Force Wrestling is still kind of being a little difficult with them. It just kind of makes Jeff Jarrett look like a dick to the wrestling fans. Listen, I understand that business goes around, and I understand that Vince McMahon does the same thing all the time, where this is my gimmick and my company, I own it. But at the same time, Jeff Jarrett was a wrestler, Dutch Mantel was a wrestler. There's a lot of people working there who actually understand how difficult it is to get over, and to see Matt and Jeff get over with a totally new thing. It's so disappointing that the fans cannot get what they actually want. And I don't know, the inner workings of Global Force Wrestling, but I do know that Jeff Jarrett has a pretty big hand there, and he probably could do a lot better. Anyway, moving on. Great Balls of Fire. Alexa Bliss gets counted out in her match versus Sasha Banks. Sadly, the count out is not effective anymore, as we know from podcasts like JR's podcast and Stone Cold. Unfortunately, nobody my age knows what a count out really means, as for pretty much the entire time I have been alive and watching wrestling, the count out has meant absolutely nothing. And that's just the way it is, unfortunately. The Miz gets the W against Dean Ambrose. Again, not a big shock there. A lot of heels won at Great Balls of Fire. Ambrose loses with distractions and whatnot. Moving on to the the ambulance match between Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns. It was a good fight. The two of them took each other to hell. I am a big fan of Roman Reigns. I know a lot of guys out there my age aren't big fans of Roman Reigns, but I think the guy's a great talent. I think he's a great wrestler, and quite frankly, I love everything that you people hate. I just think it's funny when fans spend so much money to put themselves in misery. So the match ends. Roman Reigns goes for like a super mega spear against Braun Strowman, completely misses him, winds up in the back of the ambulance. Strowman just shuts the door. Yeah, big strong guy gets the big victory. Roman comes out of the ambulance, attacks Strowman, throws him into the ambulance, because of course at this point now the match is over. Throwing someone in the ambulance doesn't matter. At least that's what you would think. Roman then goes to the driver part of the ambulance, takes the driver, throws him out, gets in the driver's seat, takes it backstage, parks the ambulance for a second, looks in the rearview mirror. You're wondering what's going on. There's a long distance from the ambulance to quite a few things. It's kind of an open area. Then he puts it in reverse, throws it on the gas, and then drives the ambulance completely backwards into one of the WWE trucks. It was pretty cool to see that, especially as a fan. I love watching collisions. But at the same time, the baby face commits attempted murder. I know some of you guys out there are seeing the petition. I don't know how many of you guys out there actually signed the petition, not that it means anything. But Roman then, gets out of the ambulance. Kurt Angle's like, what the hell's going on, Roman? And Roman just walks away. Nobody attempts to arrest this guy in a building with what you have to imagine has some police officers from the city there. I mean, it is a massive building. Okay, so you got to imagine that sometimes things might happen when there's a ton of people, so you definitely want officers nearby. Nope, Roman Reigns just kind of leaves. After that, you see some stress going on backstage. They're really kayfabing it, making it look like it's real. They set up a impromptu match with Heath Slater and Kurt Hawkins, a match that nobody seems to care about, because the entire time on the big screen, they are showing what's going on with the ambulance, and obviously having a non-televised match, with two people who the wrestling world looks at as, lower card guys, which is sad because they're both very good talents. But unfortunately, there's just so many spots for top guys, and just for whatever reason, their number wasn't called. But anyway, another ambulance comes in what seems to be record time. Okay, Cleveland, it seems like it takes like 30 minutes for an ambulance to get there at least. They'll call the police, and the police will decide whether or not it's something worthy of them coming out. And this is a big city. I forgot what city it was in. Somewhere in Tennessee, I believe, obviously for Great Balls of Fire. But, the ambulance comes down, they get the jaws of life, and they have to pry open a door that was not affected by the accident whatsoever. It's just cool to see something like that. They try to get Strowman out. Strowman actually gets out on his own, kind of wanders around in pain and everything, holding a chest, holding his stomach, walking around kind of loopy. And then he just kind of, walks away. Nobody follows him, which if this was reality would be a workers' compensation nightmare. Not just that, an HR nightmare for that matter, that not only did one of your employees almost get murdered on the scene, nobody had the common sense to actually follow them. So anyway, Heath Slater got the win that nobody noticed while that's all going on. Then leads into Samoa Joe versus Brock Lesnar. The match was way shorter than I thought it would be, but I am happy because in my opinion, they did not make Samoa Joe look like a punk, and that was the one thing I was hoping they wouldn't do. Especially because, Lesnar is the beast incarnate and whatnot. So it's very easy for him to just go out there and beat the living snot out of guys, and people just accept that as it is. Then we fast forward to Monday Night Raw. There's a big promo with Brock Lesnar. He takes the microphone out of Paul Heyman's hand to talk to Roman Reigns. Words get bleeped out, which it's priceless when you look at the face of Kurt Angle when that happens, and the face of Paul Heyman. I don't know if they knew that was going to happen, but it was pretty awesome. Samoa Joe comes out, everyone's talking smack to one another. Kurt Angle sets up a match for next week on Monday Night Raw for a number one contendership match. The number one contender going on to face Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. So, getting some of my notes out here. Also on Raw, Miz goes out there, talks smack about what happened last night, gives out awards to the Miztourage, gives out an award to his wife, mentions Dean Ambrose being Dean Ambrose, also talks smack about some of the other guys, in particular about Seth Rollins. That leads to when Ambrose goes out there to go kick some ass. The Miztourage, of course, the numbers add up. Seth Rollins then comes out because Miz put his name in his mouth. Fights off the Miztourage. Fast forward to going backstage. Seth Rollins is walking away. Ambrose is going over, yelling at Rollins, says he doesn't need his help, says there will not be a Shield reunion, which you fans of professional wrestling know. That means there will absolutely be a Shield reunion. And that is something we are looking forward to. Anyway, and then also in the night, because, Ambrose said all that stuff, Rollins gets his rematch with Bray Wyatt. Wyatt gets another victory over him, this time with the Miztourage coming out, setting up the distraction. After the match, they go to beat up Rollins. Then that night, Ambrose comes out, kind of saves Rollins too. So that's with Raw, and then Raw ends with Kurt Angle telling someone over the phone that he loves them. And let's be honest, we're going to face the music next week on Raw because they've been teasing this whole thing with Kurt Angle having some kind of deep, dirty secret that he does not want to come out. So that's how Raw ended. Raw started, because I'm jumping around here a little bit, Big Cass coming out, cutting a promo. Cass doing a little bit better on the mic than I expected. It's just, it's definitely sad when you have something like Enzo and Cass, a great tag team with so much promise, and that you really wanted to see, and that you really enjoyed when they came out. And Enzo did his trash talking, and Cass did the there's only one word to describe you, and the SAWFT. Well, Cass is a bad guy now, and for good reason. He attacked a guy much shorter than he is, much smaller than he is, and somebody who looks at him like a brother. So he comes out, makes a pretty good heel promo. Big Show comes out, headbutts him. The two of them fight. Big Show kind of punks him out a little bit, so that's pretty cool. Another match that happened was Elias Samson versus Finn Balor. Finn Balor wins, no big surprise there. I don't know what they got in store for Elias Samson. I do like seeing him out with the guitar. The only thing I don't understand is when the heel commentator, Corey Graves, talks smack about the heel wrestler the way he does. But hey, anything that Corey Graves is doing, I'm a big fan of right now. The Hardys come out. They've formed a friendship with Finn Balor over the past few weeks. Come out. They say obsolete. They say broken. The people go nuts. The club comes out, challenging them to a match. The club gets a pretty good victory over here. Anytime you get a win over the Hardys is definitely a good victory for your team. And then the Revival comes out and they beat down the Hardys. Also in the night, Sasha Banks and Bayley, they beat Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax. Goldust beats R-Truth, and Tozawa and Cedric Alexander beat Noam Dar and Neville. That's also just kind of what happened. Over on Smackdown, start off with your brand new champion, AJ Styles, your brand new United States champion, AJ Styles, who won it at a Madison Square house show, non-televised event, which just goes to make just goes to show you fans, hey, you better showing up at these house shows and whatnot, because you never know when something's going to happen. Majority of the time, nothing happens, but I guess you never know. Years ago, I went to a house show in Akron. Hacksaw Jim Duggan was there and beat Sylvain Grenier. It was just cool seeing Hacksaw. And then a couple other things happened. I'm trying to even remember. But, you're not expecting to see Hacksaw, and he shows up. And like a year later, I go to another one, and that one in Cleveland, it was a house show, and Scotty Duhati is there, and somebody who hasn't been seen on TV in a long, long time. And he beats a guy named G Rilla, who we later know as Brodus Clay and Tyrus for you Global Force fans out there. But anyway, here on SmackDown, AJ Styles goes out there, new U.S. champion, says he's got a U.S. Open challenge. Bum, ba-dum, bum. John Cena's music hit. John Cena comes running to the ring, says this is a really open challenge, and the ready to start a match. Charles Robinson goes down to the ring, let's be the referee, and then Kevin Owens comes out, talks some smack. It's just my way, when I say talking smack, it's my easy way of just summing up what's going on. Hits Cena, sends AJ Styles on the floor. Rusev comes out, puts him in that accolade, and later in the night, Shane McMahon sets up a tag team match of Styles and Cena versus Rusev and Owens. Ty Dillinger lost to Jinder Mahal. No surprise there with Jinder being champion. He says he's going to bring the hell to Randy Orton at Battleground in the Punjabi prison match. And as a wrestling fan, I'm pretty sure that means they're just going to be watching previous Punjabi prison matches. Go on the network, check them out. They are pretty awful. Xavier Woods beat Jey Uso. I'm digging what they're doing with the New Day and the Usos right now. The week before they had that rap battle, it was pretty awesome. Definitely go online, check those out, because me talking about it's not going to do it justice. The other thing you want to check out that happened was the Fashion Files that Breezango did with Mojo and with Zack Ryder. So make sure you guys are checking those out. So anyway, Shane tells Naomi in the backstage that they're going to have a 5-woman number 1 contendership match. To see who's going to take her on at SummerSlam. He announces she's going to have a match for the women. Defending her women's title at SummerSlam. While they're doing that, Charlotte, Becky Lynch, Lana, Natalya, Tamina, they all come up. And also during that, after he does that segment, Carmella gives him a letter from her attorney saying, please reinstate James Ellsworth, in which Shane McMahon just rips it up in front of her. And for all you wrestling marks out there who hate James Ellsworth, who absolutely think he's disgusting and do not want him on his TV, please understand this. Be happy that he's playing this loser gimmick and they didn't get somebody that you like to play this loser gimmick. Okay, that's just what you have to remember there. All right, you have a chance. What if they had Seth Rollins playing this little, this little sad, mopey little boy following this girl around? I'm sure you guys wouldn't like it. I know you definitely wouldn't like it if it was Finn Balor. So just be happy it's somebody like Ellsworth. All right, so that's going on. Tag match between Tamina and Natalya. They ended up beating Charlotte and Becky Lynch. The Canellises are backstage. Mike and Maria, talk about being lovers and everything. And Sami Zayn, Sami Zayn's like, I guess she's the fighter and you're the lover, saying that Mike's the lover. And then Mike just bashes a bottle over his head. And then, of course, at the end of the night, you had John Cena and AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens and Rusev. The match ends with a Pele kick to Kevin Owens. Dazed and confused, goes over. John Cena hits him with the AA. 1-2-3 victory. AJ Styles and John Cena are the winners. So, that was WWE in probably what was about 10 minutes for you guys, compared to you watching 8 hours. I'm not going to be reviewing 205 Live every single time. I'm not going to be reviewing Superstars and Main Event, things like that. Occasionally I might dabble into what Global Force is doing and what New Japan is doing, and Ring of Honor as well. But until then, make sure you guys are checking out the rest of the shows here on the Media Junkies. Make sure you're checking out my other channel, Comic on Comics, here on Media Junkies channel. Make sure you're checking out my website, danbrowncomic.com. Follow me on Twitter at xdanbrown. Give my videos a like. Drop them in the comments. Tell me what you're thinking about what's going on with wrestling. Tell me if you think my opinion sucks. It's a free country. Do what you want. It's wrestling, okay? It doesn't matter. But it's there so we can have some fun. At least now it is. So make sure you guys checking out everything Media Junkies has to do. I'll see you guys another time. Everybody take care. Have a good evening.